Have you ever been in a situation where you got so angry and yet you regretted it afterwards when you had some clarity of thought? One time that comes to mind for me is after my mom passed shortly thereafter, and I was driving my car to work in my subdivision, and somebody cut me off or missed a stop sign. And, we kind of came head to head. I honked. And I was so angry. I got out of my car. I was like ready to fight. I was so angry. And like, where did that come from? Right? It was a trigger for other emotions of that anger. So have you ever been into a situation where something like that has happened to you where you're not even sure where this is coming from? Anger actually is a friend, not a foe. It gives us a message so that we can self-reflect and learn to go through it, to help us to set boundaries and to really become more emotionally resilient. We're taught to look at anger a lot from our childhood as something that's undesirable, that that's not a good emotion to have, suppress it, keep it in check. But actually, if we do that, it's like the elephant under the rug. It is that outburst that I shared with you in my story that will result and definitely is not beneficial. So if you address your anger, it's an emotion to help us grow. It helps us to look at where we need to set boundaries. And that is a friend for sure. So this leads me into a little section that I like to call my 5 W's to emotional resiliency. This helps you to regain or obtain that emotional resiliency. Does that mean you'll never feel anger? No. And you don't want that, truth be told, because anger puts us in check, right? To self-reflect and to learn from it. But if we can learn to respond differently to anger, that's where we grow. Anger is actually part of the wood element. So there's a 5-element theory in Chinese medicine: fire, earth, metal, water, and wood, and all have base emotions. The wood element is anger. And if you think of wood, a tree, it's growing, right? So anger helps us to flourish if we can dive in and have the courage. If you just have the courage to dive in and dissect, in a sense, what this anger is showing for you, it will help you exponentially. And so the first thing I want to share, a little tidbit from my 5 W's, they really stand for, the what, the when, the who, the why, and the where. I'm going to share with you just the what and the why right now. So when you're in quiet reflection, how you can look at anger as helping you, go into a space of reflection and where you can journal. And remember a time when you've been really angry or that you're now saying to yourself, oh, I wish I wouldn't have reacted that way. Write other emotions that you're feeling. Those are the what. What are the emotions that underlie anger? Anger is the top of the onion. Sadness is really often underlying anger, as well as so many more possible emotions that are only individual to you. So spend the time and ask yourself, what other things, what other emotions are under the anger? And the second W that I'd like to share with you here of the 5 is typically the end, but we're going to skip there, the why. Why am I feeling this way? Because when you ask the why, you get to go deeper under the emotions into the real core of that disempowerment that you're trying to resolve within yourself. So for example, the why of my anger with my mom and that car situation is grief, right? I mean, the anger is part of the grief process, but the anger that, my siblings didn't help me in the whole process, that I felt that I had to do it all on my own. And now I am all on my own. So it's about abandonment. So you have the opportunity to discover more about yourself. And I always say that, self-discovery is actually our greatest fear. It's not the fear of failure. It's not the fear of success so much as self-discovery, right? We don't want to go back into that pain, fear, or stress, but ultimately you don't have to become a part of that anymore, but you have to go within to free yourself from it. I'm happy to share my full 5W exercise with you. It's on my website, KarenFullerton.com. It's called Don't Overthink. It's near the bottom on the homepage. Or you can email me at Karen@KarenFullerton.com for that or any other questions that you have.